Imagine standing in the middle of ancient Rome, inside the mighty Colosseum. The air is thick with dust, and the roar of thousands of voices echoes through the stone walls. In the center, one man fights for survival, not for glory, but because his punishment demands it. In the Roman Empire, justice wasn't delivered behind closed doors. It was a public spectacle. Punishments were designed not only to execute criminals, but to entertain the masses and strike fear into anyone who dared defy Rome. Today, we'll uncover 5 of the most brutal gladiator punishments that turned human suffering into the greatest show on earth. Punishment 1. Gladiator fights to the death, 45 seconds. One of the most common punishments was forcing criminals to fight as gladiators. Slaves, rebels, and prisoners were thrown into the arena with weapons they barely knew how to use. Against them stood trained warriors, men who had spent years mastering the art of combat. Victory meant living to see another day, but defeat almost always meant a violent and bloody end. For the crowd, it was thrilling entertainment. For the condemned, it was a death sentence disguised as sport. Punishment 2. Damnatio ad bestias, thrown to wild beasts, 45 seconds. If a prisoner's crime was severe, the Romans turned to an even more horrifying punishment. Damnatio ad bestias, or condemnation to the beasts. Prisoners were tied up or left defenseless in the arena, as lions, tigers, or wolves were released from their cages. Before tens of thousands of spectators, the animals would tear them apart, limb by limb. For the people of Rome, it was entertainment. For the condemned, it was pure terror.
Punishment 3. Burning alive, 35 sec.
Not all punishments involved combat. Some rebels and traitors were executed by fire. They were tied to wooden stakes, and as the flames consumed them, the crowd watched without mercy. This gruesome display sent a clear message. To defy Rome meant not just death, but the most agonizing end imaginable. Punishment 4. Crucifixion, death on the cross, 50 seconds. Perhaps the most infamous Roman punishment was crucifixion. The condemned were nailed or tied to wooden crosses and left to hang under the burning sun. Death came slowly, through exhaustion, suffocation, and unbearable pain. Some hung for hours, others for days. It was humiliating, it was brutal, and it was one of the cruelest warnings Rome could deliver to anyone who challenged its power. Punishment 5. Forced gladiator training, waiting for death, 35 seconds. But not every punishment meant instant death. Some prisoners were sent to gladiator schools, where they trained for months. Each day, they lived with the knowledge that one day, they would step into the Colosseum and never return. For many, this long wait, knowing their fate was sealed, was more torturous than death itself.
Outro, 40 sec.
For the Romans, punishment was never just about justice. It was about control. It was about power. And above all, it was about entertainment. Gladiator battles, wild beasts, fire, and crucifixion turned human suffering into public theater. The question is, if punishments like these still existed today, how different would our world be? This was the brutal reality of the Roman Empire's gladiator punishments.